Data Governance Framework, what most SMBs get wrong. Data Governance Framework, what most SMBs get wrong. That's what we're tackling today. If you've been wondering about Data Governance Framework, stick around. Next up, let's talk about what a data governance framework actually is. A data governance framework is a structured set of policies, roles, and processes that control how data is created, stored, accessed, and used across your organization. It answers three basic questions: who owns the data, how do we know it's accurate, and who can see or change it? This is not the same as data management. Data management handles the technical side, pipelines, storage, ETL jobs on Azure. Governance is the policy layer on top. You can have a perfectly engineered Azure Synapse pipeline and still publish wrong numbers if no one owns the definitions or checks the outputs. For SMBs running Microsoft Cloud workloads, a data governance framework typically covers. Let's talk about now the mistakes most SMBs make. Most SMBs don't fail at data governance because of a technical problem. They fail because they treat it as one. Mistake 1: skipping definitions. Ask 5 people at a 50-person company what active customer means and you'll get 5 answers. One team counts anyone who paid in the last 12 months. Another counts anyone with an active subscription. Finance has a third definition tied to revenue recognition. When these definitions feed separate Power BI reports, executives get contradictory numbers from the same underlying data. The fix isn't a new tool. It's a shared glossary, documented in one place, with a named owner for each term. Let's talk about moving on to key components of a data governance framework that works. A data governance framework for SMBs doesn't need to be a 200-page policy document. The organizations that actually follow through keep it lean and operationally grounded. Here's what needs to exist. A data catalog is an inventory of your data assets: what exists, where it lives, who owns it, and how it's defined. Microsoft Purview includes a built-in data catalog for Azure environments that scans your storage accounts, SQL databases, and Synapse workspaces automatically. For smaller teams not yet on Purview, a well-maintained SharePoint list or Confluence page beats nothing and costs nothing to start. A data steward takes operational responsibility for a specific domain's data quality. In a 30-person company, this might be the finance manager for financial data and the ops lead for logistics data. The role doesn't require technical skills. It requires judgment about what correct looks like for that domain and genuine ownership of the review process. Next up, let's talk about implementing a data governance framework with Microsoft tools. The Microsoft stack has solid native governance tooling. The challenge for SMBs is knowing which tool operates at which layer and in what order to deploy them. The most common implementation mistake is buying Microsoft Purview licenses and expecting the tool to do the governance work automatically. Purview scans and catalogs your Azure data, but someone still has to define ownership, write the quality rules, and run the review cadence. The tool is only as useful as the governance process behind it. For SMBs just getting started, sequence matters more than tooling. Define data ownership and term definitions first. Then use Purview and Power BI sensitivity labels to enforce those decisions technically. Skipping the human work and going straight to tooling is how teams end up with a beautifully cataloged mess. Now, Power BI data governance best practices. Power BI is where governance failures become visible to the business. Here's what actually works in practice. Use certified datasets. Power BI's dataset certification feature marks specific datasets as approved for organization-wide use. When report authors build on certified datasets, they start from governed data with agreed-upon definitions. Without certification, every analyst creates their own version and definitions drift within weeks. Enforcing certification as a team standard is one of the highest leverage governance actions available at no additional license cost. Enforce sensitivity labels. Sensitivity labels, configured in Microsoft Purview and applied in Power BI, classify reports as confidential, internal, or public. They block users from exporting restricted data to Excel and limit external sharing. This matters especially in regulated industries. If your organization handles patient data or financial records, sensitivity labels are part of your Azure HIPAA compliance posture and not optional. Next up, moving on to Azure Data Governance and Microsoft Purview for SMBs. Microsoft Purview is the central Azure data governance tool. It covers 3 areas: data catalog, data classification, and data lineage. For an SMB running workloads on Azure Synapse, Azure Data Lake Storage, and Azure SQL, Purview scans and catalogs those assets automatically. It identifies sensitive data patterns, credit card numbers, health record identifiers, national IDs, and applies classification labels without requiring manual tagging for every field. The lineage feature is where Purview earns its cost for active Azure users. When a Power BI dashboard shows the wrong revenue figure, you can trace it back through every transformation, from the source SQL table, through the Azure Data Factory pipeline, through the Synapse model, into the Power BI dataset. Without lineage, that investigation takes days. With it, it takes about 20 minutes. Next up, what a data governance framework actually costs SMBs. This is the question most vendors dodge. Here's a realistic breakdown for an SMB Microsoft environment. Monthly tooling costs. One-time implementation costs. Next up, conclusion. A thoughtful data governance framework doesn't have to be complicated, but it has to be deliberate. The SMBs that succeed start with ownership and definitions before touching any tooling. They use Microsoft Purview to catalog and trace their Azure data, enforce certification and sensitivity labels in Power BI, and assign actual humans to be accountable for data quality in each domain. If your Power BI reports currently contradict each other, or your analysts spend hours every week reconciling numbers, you don't have a data problem. You have a data governance gap. The good news, the Microsoft stack gives you most of the tooling you need, and the foundational work, agreeing on definitions, assigning owners, documenting quality rules, costs nothing but time and organizational will. Start with your 3 most critical datasets. Assign an owner to each. Define what valid means for each one. Document it. That's a data governance framework in its simplest form, and everything after is refinement. If you want a structured plan for building governance into your Azure and Power BI environment, Q Services offers structured data strategy engagements designed specifically for SMBs on the Microsoft Cloud.